For the continuation of the topic managing intoxicated person, the topic 2 is apply appropriate procedures. Here are the objectives of the topic or performance criteria. Analyze situation carefully. Apply procedures appropriate to the situation and in accordance with organization policy. Explain the position to the customer using appropriate communication skills. Assist the customer to leave the premises if necessary. Establishing a safe venue and atmosphere. The manager plays a pivotal role in ensuring the venue is safe for all staffs and patrons to enjoy. So they have control over. So first is they have control over on what will be determined accepting behavior and actions within the venue. So they are they have control over whatever behavior of the guests inside the premises, how it should be run to ensure patrons can enjoy the facility. So there are rules and regulations to be posted, or they before they were inside or they will be accepted inside the premises, they should have the rules that only this type of or only this controlled measure alcoholic beverages will be served. Okay, so they are informed beforehand. So in establishing a safe venue and an atmosphere, their decisions and actions guide the atmosphere of the venue. In essence, the atmosphere is the general mood or feeling of a place. So it influences first the behavior and action of the customers, second, the way they drink, and third, their ongoing behavior. First, the drinking behavior. Drinking behavior is the greatest influence on. Okay, so especially if they're in a group of friends, how each person's behave and actions. Second, the way the group interacts. And third, the general conduct within the premises. So you should be observant with this behavior that the customers are showing during the time that they are in your premises. So drinking behavior is by promoting and encouraging and controlling the drink behavior. It will certainly help reduce the risk associated with intoxication. So you will inform them. Uh, Here are some rules that that the establishments have. You encourage them to control their or drink moderately with their habit or their behavior towards alcohol. Drinking behavior depends on three different factors. So first, the drink. Second, the drinker. And third, the environment. Okay? So removing or changing any of these factors will alter the drinking behavior. So it is very important that you manage the three different factors if you are the manager. Creating the right environment. There are numbers of factors that influence drinking behavior and the change and degree of problems associated with intoxication. These factors can be positive or negative. The positive factors are high levels of cleanliness. Okay. Second, a well-trained staff and professional staff. Next, facilities in operational order. So you need to know what are those needed things or facilities can really help in times of emergency or situation. Examples, the arrangement of the furnitures, the lightings, the phone, okay, that they are carrying during the operation, okay, the visibility. So we will continue. Creating the right environment is the number one reasons as well to have a smooth operations. So first, high levels of cleanliness. Second, a well-trained staff and professional staff. Facilities in operational order. So all the facilities must be operational during the operations. Then good security measures. So the first topic that we discuss is you should have the sources or the contacts. So contacts inside and outside the organization. Regular removal of rubbish and waste. So you need to consider as well that cleanliness is very important. Prompt cleaning of tables and removal of dirty bottles, plates, and glasses is very important as well. Adequate and well light and ventilated toilets. Non-aggressive, okay? Non-aggressive security staff. Okay, so you need to um, orient as well your security staff so so that it will not be aggressive. Non-crowding facilities, mix between men and women. Okay, good communication is very important as well. Good activities, safe venue layout, and video camera surveillance is very important. For the negative factors in creating right environment, unsupervised pool tables. So if there is no supervision, TV showing aggressive, offensive, sexual, or intoxicated related images are viewed by the customer. So it creates their thinking and it can inhibit behavior. Offensive and sexually explicit music, okay? It adds ambience, congestion. So you need to control how many guests are able, or the ratio of the tables or the establishments, or what is the capacity of your establishment. So don't congest all the people inside that it can create chaos. Higher percentage of customer standing. Drunk or underage persons are also accepted. Vomiting. Drug dealing or drug use are present in your establishments. Drug customers in the premises. Okay? Staff being hostile or aggressive towards patrons. You need to check your staff, monitor your staff. Staff allowing aggression or watching conflict. Staff sending people outside to fight. Okay, so it's not healthy. Late intervention in self by staff, in situation by staff. So you can observe that there were uh start of argument already. You need to be there to assist before it will be too late. Patron serve double or at closing time. So it should be announced when to close and when is the last order. Serve after closing time. It's not healthy. The staff don't have rest anymore. Smoking or lack of ventilation. There should be area for smoking. High level of noise and movement. Lack of bar wiping, table clearing, or toilet cleanliness. Openly sexual or sexually competitively activity. It's not healthy. In-house promotion on alcohol and sexy dancing. It's not also healthy. Assessing the situation. Once the risks have been addressed and action taken to create the right atmosphere, this does not guarantee problems will not arise. It is so vital that not only managers but also staff constantly assess and monitor the situation as the shift unfolds. Every organization that serves alcohol should have established policies and procedures that are in place to help promote and responsible service and consumption of alcohol. So there should be policies and it should be discussed prior the guests get inside the premises. Or the waiter will explain it properly before that order taken. House policy. Establishment policy or house policy, one of the most powerful ways of reducing the risk of a breach of your duty of care or local laws and regulation is to have a house policy that is first visible, second understood by staff and customer, and third always applied. Okay, so it should not be banned if your friend is there. It should be for all. House policy must contain the laws and regulation of a specific organization. It creates a framework of how organization will promote the safe supply and consumption of alcohol. They are often written by and unique to a venue. So should have stated, we will not serve anyone who looks or acts obviously intoxicated. So you can post it anywhere. Inclusion in the house policy. The following at the minimum should be included in the house policy. Expected standard of behavior for a customer. Second, a list of those not to be served alcohol. And limits your cocktails, shots, and shutters. Okay, so there should be limitations. And it should be depend on age, depend on gender. Signage. Most laws will require or encourage a premises to have a suitable signage placed in locations that can be seen by the customers and referred by staff. Like underage should not be permitted. Okay, so under 18 years old is not allowed. Escalation plan. It is wise to have a plan for if things get worse. By behaving a plan, which is understood by all staff members before an accident takes place, there is a clear path of predetermined. The responsibilities and the courses of action is very important. So there should be a plan for in times of emergency. Because anything may happen, it is your responsibility because they are in your premises. Identify and address current issues. Drink spiking. This is where alcohol or other substance is added to drinks without drinkers' knowledge or consent. So it should not be allowed. Drink spiking. Strategies to avoid spiking. First, because sometimes the establishments are not doing it, but some customers are adding it to some customers or friends or any person who are in the premises are adding it without your consent or without your knowledge. So you need to warn your customers not to leave the drinks unattended. Second, have a policy regarding to maximum number of shots per drink. Okay, dispose unattended drinks. If that is unattended, you need not to drink it anymore. Be suspicious of drinks with added shots of spirits. So look for signs that the person has become suddenly drunk. So he drank once only, but he's already intoxicated. You need to consider it or observe it because maybe that person has been drugged. Okay? Then take notice of people offering to take the affected person's home. Okay, so if that a female, if it is a female, you need to observe if that is the person he's with before he enters the premises. Binge in drinking. Binge drinking is very harmful practice of drinking too much in short period of time or in one-off episodes. What can you do to reduce binge drinking? What other current issues exist that are related to the consumption of alcohol? What causes them? What risks are associated with these issues? How can you control or eliminate this risk? Steps when handling intoxicated person. When handling intoxicated persons, there are a number of approaches that can be taken depending on individual situation and severity of the problem. Regardless of the action taken, it is important for the staff. First, be professional and respectful in their approach. Conduct a sensitive and discreet manner. Okay, so for those who are intoxicating patrons, they should be respected because they are very sensitive and maybe that person has a problem beforehand. That's why he is drinking, or that's why he cannot control his behavior. Maybe that person has a problem. Okay, so we will continue. So steps in handling intoxicated person. The following words are, it summarizes it into words. Take care. Steps can help resolve matters involving intoxicated patrons. First, tell early. Tell early about the rules and policy of the establishment. Avoid put downs. Okay, so respect them. Keep calm, ever courteous. Okay, so be courteous most of the time. Clarify refusal. Okay, so if you refuse something, you need to clarify it as much as possible in order the guest would understand. Because if the person is intoxicated, they have poor judgment and inhibition already. Report. Whatever happens, report in order someone can help you with that situation. Then echo. You echo it to other staff or internal or outside organization. So handling complaints, there will always be complaints that will be brought to the attention of staff and management. When alcohol is involved, the number of and types of complaints may vary. Some may be logical while others unreasonable and resulting from requests of people who are intoxicated or under influence of alcohol. So some guys are unreasonable already because they're drunk. Regardless of complaint, key points to dealing with them includes first, listen carefully to the complaint without interrupting. They don't want to be interrupted because they're not in their state of mind. Show that you understand. Apologize and seek for a solution. Handling intoxicated complaints, it is important not to remain professional and treat every client or complaint with respect. Remember, when people are angry, they often throw insults. Do not take insults personally or retaliate. You have to remain professional. You don't need to retaliate or argue. Dealing with complaints requires you to have a patience and to keep others around you calm. Because if you're the one who is aggressive, you can create chaos. Large large single sex groups. Whether due to celebration or party, some groups often start drinking to excess, sometimes encourages a culture of drinking games and fast consumption. Due to the nature of large groups, their actions and noise level may affect on the other customers as well. So you need to consider how many are there in the groups. Appropriate techniques include distribute house policy with confirmation of large bookings or private functions. So you need to discuss it very carefully. Speak with them on arrival. Welcome them and thank them for their patronage. Notify them of the expected behavior. For large groups, speak with them in a friendly manner and don't treat them as a problem until they do become one. Build up a relationship early on so on easier to speak them later. Okay? So set aside a separate area for them if possible to avoid upsetting other customers. Because if they are in a large group, they are noisy because they are a large group. So sometimes guys, some bars are having a close contact or in separate rooms. Identify the leader and make him or her responsible for the group's behavior. Watch the amount they are drinking. Speak to individuals at the bar. Make it clear that if one person causes trouble, they will have to leave. Okay, so one for all for one. Domestic argument. So these are handling potential problems in situations. So visit the table, ask if they are still okay. If it persists and gets louder, you will need to ask them once again if they're okay. Suggest that it is not the pace of their argument. So try to think to tell them politely, with courteousness and with respect. Let them know that if they can't put aside their issues, they will have to leave. Always remain impartial. Depersonalize the situation by stating it is your job. It is house rules and it's not personal. Game or handling potential problems situation in games or sports to help reduce problems or potential problems. Put a clear, fair system. The first one, have a set of house rules for everyone to play. So you need to check it. So everyone can play by. Put a clear first system in place for how to book games and how to determine who plays next. Because if it's not arranged or if it's not fair, there will be potential problems. Ensure the area is well staffed to spot any potential problems. Put in place a deposit system so equipment is returned. Asking customer to leave the premises. So if there are chaos or problems arise, while it is unreasonable to ask every patron who is showing even the smallest sign of intoxication to leave, it is essential that a person will be asked to leave. Okay, so first, who is using threatening violence? So if that person is using threatening violence, so you need to ask them to leave. Who is a person disturbing the enjoyment of other patrons? That person causing trouble with other patrons? Okay. Who is disorderly or not abiding the premises rules? Okay, so you need to follow. Who is breaking the law? Okay, if someone is breaking the law, and who is using disgusting, profane, or foul language? Okay, so if that cause or trigger potential problems. Asking customers to leave if steps when asking someone to leave. First, final warning. Notifying friends. Third, identify transportation. Then fourth, arrange assistance if that person can drive anymore. Explain why the person is being asked to leave. Okay, you need to explain if they break some of the rules and policy of the establishment. Steps when asking someone to leave, explain transportation options, follow the person to the door, ensure the person is safely off the premises, and ensure that they are looked after. Okay, so that is part of the responsibility of the owner. Because if something happened, they are from your establishment, and once they did not arrive home, it will be your responsibility because you are the last contact. Steps when asking someone to leave. There will be times when more direct and forceful action is required. The appropriate authorities must undertake this action, whether by police or security. For the third topic is comply with legislation. The criteria or objectives are assess situation, deal with intoxicated persons appropriately, deal with underage drinkers, and lastly, comply with legislative requirements. So as a manager or a server in an establishment that serves alcohol, it is your responsibility that it is done in a manner that First, it maintains healthy and safety for all the people concerned, and it's legal. Okay, so very important that you follow those rules and comply with the legislation. Promotes responsible service and consumption of alcohol. So there should be a control and responsible service as a manager. So legal considerations. So there are a number of actions to ensure a safe and legal operations, including first, establish your house policy. Avoid promotions that encourage irresponsible consumption of alcohol, like bottomless. Okay, drink all you can. So it's not allowed. Train staff in responsible service of alcohol. Identify and address potential difficult situation firsthand. Okay, there should be a planning or orientation before the start of the event. Create a right atmosphere. Tips to remember for legal consideration. First, identify situation where problems may arise as early as possible. Try to involve the customers by providing options. Treat the customer professionally. Don't touch the customer where possible. Take action as early as possible. Be observant. Follow house rules, policies, and regulations. Underage drinkers. It is a human nature for people who are under legal age of drinking in a specific country to want to consume alcohol due to the following. There are peer group pressure, the right to fit in, the act of rebellion, simply wanting to act older than they are. So that's why we need to be observant if that is a underage drinker. Underage drinker, every establishment that serves alcohol at some stage will need to deal with underage drinkers. A person under legal drinking age will be referred as minor. So they should not be allowed in the establishment. Reasons for having a designated drinking age. Every country will have designated age in which people are allowed to legally drink alcohol. This is set because the consumption of alcohol by minors is very dangerous. Okay, their liver has just developed. Okay, so there should have a control, or the establishment has a rules and regulation for not accepting underage drinkers. Or if they allow, there should be accompanied with their parents, or there should be a rules for that. Reasons for having a designated drinking age. The lack of experience of drinking alcohol is first considered. They may not be mature enough to handle themselves in a drinking capacity. A third, brains does not fully develop until the age of 24 in males and 22 in females. So their brains are not fully developed, and the brains and the alcohol make your brains depressed. Okay, the brain functions will be depressed, so it can damage the brain. Therefore, the effects of alcohol impacts brain development to a greater extent. Reasons for designated drinking age. Their internal organs haven't fully developed, therefore the effects of alcohol are greater, especially their liver, their lungs. Okay? Minors are more likely to binge drinking, which is a major health risk. So they take more alcohol at a period of time. Minors are most likely to become dependent on alcohol and become heavy drinkers later in their time. So if they drink or start drinking at the younger age, they are most likely um drinker or alcoholic person at the later age. Types of laws for underage drinkers. Okay, so the law will also state conditions in which alcohol can be served in relation to minors. Each country will have own laws in relation to the sales and consumption of alcohol in relation to minors. So you must be 21 to enter. Okay, so sometimes guys, be careful because some of the IDs are not really stating the right age. Legal consideration may include alcohol can be sold to a person under the legal drinking age. Okay, some of the country are very strict to that, but here in the Philippines, I don't know if we have that. Alcohol cannot be supplied or consumed by a person under the legal drinking age. And third, proof of age must be checked if a person looks under 25 years of age. Legal consideration may include minors may be able to be in the premises with supplies if they are in the company of responsible adults. Work on premises in duties that do not involve the sale of alcohol. So you need to consider it as well. Legal consideration may include some of the venues may allow a minor to have alcohol drink if having a meal with a spouse or parent or guardian. So for underage drinkers, it should be uh, with their parents. Food containing alcohol may be consumed if below a certain percentage of entire meal. So there are legal consideration for that. Minors may not be allowed into areas where their primary sold is alcohol, including bars and nightclubs. So minors are not really allowed. I have experienced that one in Singapore that they checked our ID before entering the premises. Check, checking upon entry. Strategies to prevent underage drinkers. Check upon entry. Many establishments may have staff located at the door to ensure minors are not granted access. If there are no allocated staff, it should be the responsibility of staff to observe new arrivals. This check is also helpful in identifying intoxicated person entering the venue. So there should be a check upon entry. Requesting identification. So while each country will have own forms of approved identification, this may include photographic driver's license, passport, proof of age card, and identification booklets. So depends on what country. But here, most of the underage or 18 years old and above, I think they can't have the driver's license yet. Passports can be, but I don't know. I think high school card or school ID could be. Always check them in a well-light area. Take the time to examine the identification carefully. Look for any signs that may indicate the identification is not real, including alternations of pages, changing of photos, and change of date. So you need to be observant as well with what ID they present. Ask for supporting identification. If you are unsure of authenticity of the identification, get the person to sign a document to compare signatures to state the document is accurate. Ask questions to test authenticity of information of the identification card. So like, for example, if they still remember their number or the date of registration. So sometimes guys, they will really do something that will let them pass through. So there are things that they will do in order for them to fabricate some of IDs that will show their age is above 18. Okay, so handling fake identification. So if you think that the person has given you a fake identification, it is good to practice to refuse the person's entry, keep the identification, and give the identification to the relevant authorities in order for them to be notified that this person fabricated the particular identification, which is fake. Observe drinkers. In many establishments, minors are allowed into a wide variety of food and beverage outlets that serve both food and beverage. Staff should observe people who are drinking alcohol. In some cases, adults may have purchased these drinks on their behalf. Then they let the underage drink it. So complying with laws. All business that serve food and beverage will have a series of laws in which they must comply. Licensing law is the set of legal rules governing the sale of alcohol in a given jurisdiction. It is usually defined who can sell or supply alcohol, so they should have permit when, where, or to whom to sell, or who is the person who is buying the alcohol. So there should be a identification ID as well when someone is purchasing the item. Generally, the underlying purpose of licensing law is to act as a protection against any potential harm to public order or to public health. This is sometimes stated in the law. License to sell. Most countries that have restrictions on who can buy alcohol will also have restrictions on who can do the selling. In order to sell alcohol, you may have to obtain a permit or license. This license may simply permit you to sell alcohol in general and have stipulations. So types of laws. Established policies and procedures. Established house rules. Place appropriate signs in place. Ensure staff understand. Ensure compliance with policies and procedures as well. Train your staff. Management may need to ensure that correct types of staff or including security must be checked. Correct number of staff needed to control whatever situation may arise. Correct age of staff serving the alcohol. Have technical knowledge and skills. Train your staff like staff may require to undertake responsible service of alcohol courses, gain certification in specific courses, attend regular staff meetings to discuss RSA issues, understand their responsibilities, be properly trained and consistently apply their training and knowledge of RSA in the workplace. Documentation of system. In order to prove that you're complying with the laws, it is good practice to keep records to show what systems you have in place, including first training and training records, incident diary, and refusal books. Recording incidents. You should record all incidents for a variety of reasons. It can be used as a learning tool and assist in communication between staff and management during orientation. So this matters most when during orientation that you can discuss with the staff what happened before. It provides an accurate record for the police, company, or insurance purposes. It can help prevent similar incidents from happening again as well. Recording incidents. The record should include the following. It should have date, time, what happened, who was involved, how it is dealt with, whether police were told, witness information. So before things end with this topic, I have trivia question for this chapter. How to handle intoxicated person? What are the possible rules of a manager to his customers and staff? What will you do to have a bright and safe environment? And number 5, give us 5 rules or policy to have a successful operation. And number 6 question, what are the laws and regulations that most of the country are having, especially for managing underage drinkers and the establishment who are selling the item or the alcoholic beverages? Thank you so much for watching the discussion. Kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel and kindly comment down the section below if you have questions. Thank you once again. God bless.